Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. For those who don't know me, I'm Anna Poremska, PhD architect, executive head of the A2 department, which has been honored this term by Professor Blumfeld Hanada, whom we are having as visiting professor. Hanada Sensei is a licensed architect who runs his own architectural studio in Berlin, but also teaches in Münster School of Architecture. Our cooperation with Münster goes years back, and it's been an extremely successful one. Some of you may have already benefited from this cooperation and had a chance to participate in our joint workshops. If not, there is still and will be a chance. But without further ado, I give you Professor Blumfeld Hanada, Hanada Sensei. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, good evening. Blumfeld Hanada is my name, and I'm since 2008. I'm 8. I'm teaching at the Münster School of Architecture, and then in the occasion of this guest professor position, I was asked to hold a lecture, and then this time I thought about, I prepared for the one lecture of teaching method, and we call it radical perspective. And before going to the contents, I like to introduce a little bit of a few words on the school itself. Münster School of Architecture is one of the good ranking university in Germany. And we have a structure of this kind, and then deanery and a department of 7. And I'm part of the department 1, architecture design, and construction and arts presentation, and structure, technology and management, and urban planning, history and theory. And then all the design department, we have 5-6 colleagues, and then also the construction department. It's a 2 major sort of department, 5-6 people. With the guest professor position. And what is characteristic about Münster is involvement of the students. And symbolically, we have a student vice dean, and also each professor has 2-3 tutors who are actively involving organization and the decision making of the school itself. So this participation, involvement, strong involvement of the school makes a school character very active. And we have 3 years of bachelor curriculum and 2 years of master. And I don't go for details, but you see at the end of the 4th semester, it's a bachelor thesis, and 4th semester of the master is a master thesis. And at the 2020, we accredited UER signature that we are one of the first university who accredited within the Germany, so international recognized actually. And I prepared this time about the teaching method from the 1st semester to the master thesis. And I begin with the 1st semester, how we begin with the 1st semester as a design basics. We call it design basics. Each colleague has prepared basics in a different way. In my case, I prepared basics of these 3 terms, body, threshold, and natural. And this semester, under this concept, they divided into 3 phases. 1, 2, 3, like you see it. I would like to introduce step by step. And the first of all, the body, our body, is the basics of the architectural space. And of course, like Da Vinci, after Vitruve defined this geometrical harmony of this definition of the human being. But this circular and square format is not really touching. It's a mystery. My bridge, for the first time as a photographic media, we could capture our movement precisely at the media of photography. And also Marcel Duchamp later defined our figure of a human being like a man stepping down the stairs, like a mechanical age representing. And of course, Corbusier's modular is the proportional relationship which he also applied to his furnitures later, or architecture scale, or urbanism as well. Della Scofidio, the well-known architects group from New York, in their first career, they started creating a sort of living space, but fragmented, cutted through this almost a schizophrenic way of living format. And first phase, we are trying to create a cardboard interface. It's a sort of interface to define between our surface of our body and the environment. For instance, this interface is only exist among these three surfaces, two walls and then the floor. And this topography is defined through the chance operation. It's a dice by throwing the dice. It's a coincident topography so that we can look by ourselves for suitable position himself. And we are trying also digitally modeling this structure and physically building these interfaces. And it can also suit in a different way in this case. And it's a sort of challenging, it's a fragile material of cardboard to stay with your weight, 50 kilogram, it depends on you, 80 kilogram, but it's a fragile material, has to be stable in a way, but it can be also minimalized materiality. It's also the folding system is possible, and then you can fold like this way, but in a different angle, it can be stable. And this group are defining a surface through their contour of their own surface. And then, but then he's also using on the surface of the other person as well. And this idea was a little bit differentiated. The fragility itself of the essence of this cardboard sense, it's not looking for stability. So he created like, dress-like interface. And then he can wear it slowly. And then this interface can also define the position of your posture. And the second phase, after researching our body to define it through the cardboard interface, we are trying to look at the body of art by creating an index model at the end of the second phase. And then we are choosing artists or architects who are great dealing with the body itself, definition of body by sculpture or artworks or part of architecture. Namgabo from Russia, Chilida from Spain, Frank Stella, all the artists, Friedrich Kiesler from Vienna. All these artists are dealing with deeply with the definition of the body through the surface of the object itself. And Gordon Matte Clark as well. And I like to show some examples. And Alexander and Julian. And the Münster is very famous basically around the world for the sculpture project, which is held every 10 years. And we have already a collection of artworks spread over the city of Münster existing. And it's one of them, Bruce Naumann's Negative Pyramid, which is, the Square Depression is the title. And if you go down, it's under the eye level, so that you can have the reflection of light through the white concrete, so that you are in an illusional space at the end. And the Bruce Naumann typically create sort of very minimalized corridor with the fluorescent light. So it's also almost the limitation of the relationship between the body itself and then prepared material of the walls and light. And then looking at these works of Bruce Naumann, the students are creating sort of meta index models without any context, basically. But they superimpose collage in the industry hall, for instance. And then digitally they created sort of index models. And the third phase, these index models, they are trying to superimpose into the urban condition. And in this group, Münster is all shaped with the promenade. It's a circular greenery belt. And along this belt, they are superimposing this line structure along this greenery space. And this is one impression. And this serves new definition of the space itself, of its surroundings. But if you go inside, you have isolated space with the light from the top. And then some portion you have all the public spaces, partly like this. And this redefined our new public space in the existing situation. Yeah, this was the first semester, and then we go on to the second semester. It's on the analysis. First, we analyzed the analysis of modern architecture. And then this exercise is based on one historic known action, Corinne Rowe. Corinne Rowe wrote famous article, The Mathematics of the Ideal Villa. And within this article, he compared Palladio's Villa Malcontenta and the Corbusier's Garches. And the difference of the years is over 350 years. And what is about these two objects? And he compared to the plans, and he discovered the proportional similarity of between these two objects. And along the Corinne Rowe, the New York Five. John Haydock is one of the New York Five famous architects. He was been a dean at the Cooper Union School of Architecture for a long time in New York. And the Peter Eisenman is one of them, and Richard Meyer and things. New York Five, in a younger time, developed under Corinne Rowe, and then they are developing their architecture stand through the analysis of Le Corbusier. And Peter Eisenman later developed like this constructivist way, but each Architect New York 5 developed in a different way because the analysis or interpretation of the Corbusier's modernism was quite different. No? And then based on this historical thing, we look at this kind of selection of architects of houses. And then we built index model after the analysis. And the second phase, we are looking at the contemporary our situation and then how we could rethink over our living format. It's questioning through this also the selection of contemporary architects' houses. And then we built a second index models. And over the first and second index models, we are proposing or designing a new way of, sorry, this is typical, no? Maybe. Sorry, I don't know why it's happened, but anyhow, we are developing a new form of living style. So I show examples. The first phase, as I said, is an analysis of the modern. In this case, it's Adolf Loos Villa Mola in Vienna from 1972 to 27. And Adolf Loos is famous, known for the round plan. You know, it's the spaces are separated but attaching through the sort of stairs, for instance, in a differentiated level. And instead of creating one-to-one copy of the Villa Mola, but analytical model or analytical sort of drawings to examine the aspect of this round plan of Adolf Loos itself. And this is a result of the first index model. And the second, from the contemporary situation, they have chosen So Fujimoto's House H. And the House H itself is an extension of the Adolf Loos, basically of the round plan. And you see a floor plan, it's divided completely into four territories. But if you see the section here, each floor is a shifting, a skipping, and then connecting with the stairs. So this schema, they draw it conceptually and also examined as index model. It's a meta level, actually. And this is a section model, how the unit of spaces are connected or disconnected. It depends. And then above the two index models, they are creating their own sort of scheme. And as you see, left-hand side, they prepared a selection of unit of spaces as functional spaces. On the right-hand side, there's a circulation system. So this two systems overlaps each other to create sort of a new typology of living format. You can see on the core in the front, in the plan, there's a space, but circulation system is around. This space is not only a matter of circulation, but also extension of the continuous living space, basically. It's not really categorized, not as a corridor, but extension of the living space. And this is the impression. And this is a facade. And this circular corridor around the house is covered by the glass so that also the vegetation can be achieved. These are the final model of this circulation, how these spaces are defined or connected through this up to the upper floor. And this is an image of the facade. There's a second example. Niels look at the house Villa Savoy. It's one of the icons, 31, and then he also producing index models with a slight interpretation already of the original. It's not really original. He created 3 types of index models of the first phase, and then it's already his interpretation is there. But you can see the icon of the figure of the Villa Savoy still now. And also the documentation of the photography in the phenomenological sense is very, for us, important to examine. No? And the second phase, he took a house, a Loggia of the Arno Brandhuber, a Berliner architect, who is very, very actual at this moment in Uruguay. And then this house is basically very, very simply done with the 2 volumes, create 1 unit, and this whole house is assembled with the 3 units. And this system, he changed a little bit of the diagonal format and then create new index models, also with the whole system and the connection system in a horizontal way or vertical way. So this is the second index model. And then third phase, it's a sort of project. He chose the industry area the site is still empty. And he wanted to create a sort of public space, partly private, but you see traces of Corbusier's house, but still dimension is bigger. And then it's all floating volume on the upstairs, but pilotis, floating with the pilotis. And then for the ground floor, it's basically a public space with partly warm spaces. And then upstairs is more like private, but partly connected to the public space of the ground floor. And this is basically the index model repeating and also the extending, but you see the connection and the difference. And I don't know if you see the Corbusier's traces on this final result. It can be also possible, but it's original sort of way after the base of the analysis of the historical building. Yeah, this is the first and second semester. And we do also excursions. I just listed yesterday where we have been, and maybe not all of them, but I last over 10 years of these kind of cities. Soto de Mura's crematorium, Sigurd Labyrinth's in Sweden church, Angewandte Kunst, it's a university in Vienna, master class we visited. Sam Shemeev in Berlin. He's now teaching at the Vienna also as well from this semester. Arno Brandhuber's atelier in Lichtenberg in Berlin. And then this is a Porto near Alvar Caesar's tea house. And these are the good moment to think over where we are or what we are doing and what we are going to do in the future. Somehow excursion is for us also some kind of elemental action. And then we are now ending the bachelor thesis. The bachelor thesis, we have a typical Münster structure. First, we have to do academic researches, not so soon direct jump into the project itself, but we are researching things academically, and on the basis of research we create a sort of bachelor thesis project, and then to make it put together as a one book. And this is a sort of culture of the Münster. And then also Münster bachelor thesis can be very artistic. It doesn't have to be a typical architecture project. It can be a space installations or theoretical project. It's wider sense, you can finish it. And this is just two examples that I like to show it, but it's valid in a very wider sense. And this academic research, Lavinia did unbuilt Mies project, the house with the three courts project, 38. 38 is a year before Mies van der Rohe went to America, moved to Chicago. And there are less material, almost no unbuilt project has a complete information. And this also lack of a few photographs, and plan is very known, but there is no section, or you don't have you see water. There are lack of information, but still we wanted to examine what is missing or what we can find new in this observation, detailed observation of the project. And there are many analytical diagrams, but I don't show it today. I show only the perspectives that she created. Because all we know is a photography of the models and a floor plan, and nobody really walks through the space. And this is phenomenological or perceptive aspect. I think this is missing through the argument of the Mies van der Rohe unbuilt project. And then we can look carefully about this situation. It's a light space with full of light with two sides of glass. But it's enclosed, with the walls. And these three houses are completely enclosed, isolated from the surroundings, its own space. So, and then also glass is not really sure where you can open it. So basically it's closed, except maybe the entrance doors and things. And this is a kind of certain dialectic between nature and artificiality, inside and outside, things like this. But here I wanted to mention about also the spiritual level of Mies van der Rohe. Why it's closed? It's a funny house. It's completely enclosed, and one source can be that it's a sort of a political situation that Bauhaus 33 from Berlin, they under the pressure of National Socialism, they have to close it. Mies was the final last director in Berlin, and then he couldn't politically do anything basically during the 30s, and maybe this kind of political pressure makes this enclosure feeling. But the other consideration is about the spiritual sense, that he's a reader. His bookshelf is full of philosopher or theologist. And he was very much into this kind of philosophical, ethical level. And he doesn't speak about it himself, but it's known that he read and he memorized on the books on the corner. And this is isolation, is a kind of one situation on the ethical level, what I suppose. And this we can see it in phenomenological perceptive perspectives. So this awareness of inside and outside. But if you look at it, it's some sort of strange feeling is there. Yeah. And above this analysis of Ms. van der Rohe's unbuilt project, she go forward to her own thesis project of bachelor. And then she goes to Cologne along the River Rhine. There's an existing parking house here. It's a kind of brutalistic architecture, and it's somehow less used, as many of park houses in Europe like this. And then proposed is putting a new structure above the existing brutalistic object by superimposing new structure, and then also the circulation core, and then also the new spaces above. And this is floor plan. And then you see the section underneath is existing, and then on the top is new one. And oops. Yeah, maybe in the later, because the less and less use of this kind of park houses, maybe underneath the existing parking places can be also transformed later into some other functions like co-working space or something. But in anyhow, this stage she put a new structure on the above. And this is the floor plan. You see, of course, a similarity of the Ms. project, but in a different way. But it's not completely closed. You see, of course, the view, selected view, limited view of the Rhine. But still, of course, a similarity of this kind. And this is Marco's another typology of finishing the bachelor thesis. Go for your utopia. You see a utopian idea. And the academic research, he was orientated radical architects from Italy, Superstudio or Archizoom. And this non-stop city of Archizoom, for instance, is a kind of extension of universal space of Ms. van der Rohe. This homogeneous space extended infinitely, providing all the services structure like this pattern on the right-hand side can be seen. Yeah, it's also the political or critical critics of the industrial capitalism. It's not, it's a not realistic sort of project. It's a culture project can be seen. And Archizoom extended forward to this famous project of over the New York City. And then Dogma is currently for my concern, most important architecture critics of the architecture scene. And then Dogma is followed by these radical architects from Italy and doing differently. This stop city, instead of non-stop city of Archizoom, created a proposal of the housing, 8 housing blocks, extremely scale actually, and then to serve certain density of residents while keeping this forest, square-like forest preserved. It's also the sort of political or theoretical project. And above these researches, he wanted to propose a sort of utopia along the Berlin. And then he started draw a circle, this circle here. And on the circle, he abstractly putting a structure on the city in a suburban situation. And this circle is a distance of 60 minutes distance, and then within the 60 minutes you have many fragmented cities in a rural area. But again, from 60 minutes you can come into the city of Berlin center. And this along the line, he examined a sort of typology of this line with the width of 60 meters. And at this moment, nobody knows what is it. It's a new structure in the rural area. And yeah, this is a little bit next to the residential area in the rural condition. And this is a much dense situation, superimposing this meta element. And as a case study, he produced, if you focus on the site called Werder, it's west side of Potsdam, and starting focusing on a little bit detailed floor plans, which is serving sort of diverse public spaces. And then basically what he did is superimposing, creating a sort of infrastructure so that these public spaces can be shifted, transformed in the future. So this public space can also serve the surroundings neighbors, existing neighbors, but at the same time he's proposing also the alternative way of living, so that they are also serving density of the is this situation of rural area. And yeah, and then also that create much dense. There are much demands in Berlin, lack of all the apartments, living space, so that this is one proposal in a utopian sense. Yeah, this was the example which is not really realistic. It's half theoretical, I would say, or utopian. Yeah. And that was the end of, first of all, a bachelor thing, and then a little bit of master classes. I wanted to show it. But before we go on to the master class, I wanted to note exactly 100 years ago, 1924. And in 1924, exactly 100 years ago, was after the pandemic, Spanish flu, and the World War I, and then also the era of machine period, like Corbusier mentioned. And and this situation seems to be, for me, very overlapping to our situation 100 years later. And that was these social actions, war or pandemic or era of the machine time, triggered or to the modernism. Without these actions, I suppose this kind of sprout of the modernism never happened. And after that, 23 Gropius space in the Bauhaus Weimar. Hilbersheimer proposed 24, this futuristic utopian view of the modern city, and then followed by the Corbusier's plan Bison in Paris. These are all the utopian manifest of the modernism, which more or less influences later, even after the World War II. It's a utopia, but there is a special certain influences later on. And instead of narrow street with the pest and all the diseases, and Paris can be also like sitting in the table with the garden landscape. And then this utopia slowly would be realized in the Weissenhof in Stuttgart 27. And Nicholas Mark also mentioned that this modern movement never happened without this former social actions. And we suppose we have a feeling sometimes we are very similar situation. We have also the pandemic and we have war around the corner from Krakow also, as well as Middle East and the other part of the world. And then artificial intelligence is coming, and we don't really know how the effect is for our discipline. And it's very, very similar situation, seems to be. And then we are also looking for a new value of life after, capitalistic or consumer society. And somehow, as a university, we feel that we have a responsibility in a society, as in a university, to experiment hypothetical sort of agenda or vision towards the future somehow. Otherwise, nobody so much can do it. And this is one, I assume this one social role of the university that can be experimented. I don't know how much of effect in socially, but this is what we felt. And in this context, I show maybe two projects, migrating suburban is one thing. And this site is 30 minutes from Münster, west north of the Münster, half an hour, and it's a typically bed town for Münster. You sleep in this kind of city, bed town, and then work in the Münster. It's a very typical situation. Every city has this. In a way, it's a 20th century model of this pattern. And then we like to redefine this situation of 20th century model in a different way. And the site, we are cooperated with the city of Mayor House of this Steinfurt. And then we are also collaboration of the many urban people and landscape people. And the city itself are thinking to develop this empty space, it's a farming space still now, into a new living space because all the demands are there. And it's about 7.5 hectare. And then at this moment, it's like chickens, all the farmer surface. It's very, very natural, actually. And this group started looking at the topography itself. Topography means directly to the water flow, basically. And through the water flow analysis, creating a sort of infrastructure at the first time is this path, and then topography to emphasize it so that you can put maybe the water basin. And also they are trying to create a car-free space so that they put all the parking places on the edge of the site so that there is no car in the new field can exist. And then slowly from this further development, defining possible residential spaces. And they start developing a sort of cluster format. Yeah, this is a typical format from the 20th century model of dream houses to the very clustered, almost collective way of living. And then outside space is also as important as a building itself or houses itself. They are defining all the diverse surface, but also the sport facilities and all the natural hubs, all the collecting rainwaters. And ideally, this site can be a self-sufficient site, so that you can cut off from the urban grid system of the electricity or water supply. And this is a sort of site plan. And if you look closely, you see the cluster format. And there are houses, and partly it's a private estate, but partly social or collective shared space. But also large space are kept into a very natural development. And this is a sort of image of this kind. It's not, the pure grass or something. You just let these plants growing as it is. And as I said, they are superimposing solar panels or biogas, electric hub and things like this, so that the whole site can affect like a sustainable as possible site as possible. And if you look closely, the site, the territory is divided into zones, 0 to 4. And then, as I said, partly shared collective space, partly natural, but partly private. Or the other part is also the recreation space, sport, and also for the animals and things all over the site. And this is another image. And the house itself is very simply made. It's proposing a very simple minimalistic life, not a villa or something of the symbolically, state of the income. And also the way of very simple, sustainable material of the wood. And then also the connection to the surroundings. Although winter in Germany can be cold also as well, so that the layers of sliding element. And this is just one example of collective format. It's an alternative collective format of living. In the middle, it's also shared space. Yeah, sorry. And this was one example. And then we have also elective modules. It's not that big module or project-based, but elective modules you can research on certain themes. Each colleagues are doing differently, but a focused theme to deepen on this each themes. And somehow I was bumped into the theme of Mies. And for many years, I'm researching Mies van der Rohe's unbuilt project. It's called Mies reading or Mies reading. And I mentioned before, unbuilt project of Mies is not completely there. There are all the information is missing, almost every project. So what we're reconstructing is kind of hypothetical situation, so that depending on the interpreter, the reconstruction can be different. So we are doing hypothetical reconstruction. Okay. And then why I bump into this kind of theme is that I see many shadows of Mies van der Rohe among the current architecture scenes. It's not the current, actually, it's 97. Toyo Ito is a pure Miesian after his definition of the universal space to be transformed. And then from Ito, for instance, Christian Keres from Zurich is extending this extension of new interpretation of the Mies van der Rohe's homogeneous space into this very structural way, at the same time aesthetical dimension. And Junya Ishigami is a former student or staff of the Sana. And then Itoyo Ito, Sana, and Ishigami is connected together, staying at the same level of the Mies van der Rohe's shadow, to my concern. And this Mies can be interpreted in many ways, but these people are concerning of the universal space. And Rosalind Krauss have written a very touching, actually, article, The Grid, the Crowds, and the Detail. And she is art critical, actually, but she was trying to write about Mies, about homogeneous space. And under this title, she was just speaking about Agnes Martin's artworks. She's a very known artist who drew a grid over her career. And this is a huge canvas, basically. And then over the canvas, she drew a grid with a pencil as homogeneous as possible. But as a result, as a human being, you cannot do a homogeneous pressure on the canvas. So as a result, if you see this picture from the 5-meter distance, you don't see any grid. It's a gray surface. But if you come a little bit closer, you see the grid, but it's fragile because of the homogeneous situation. And if you come really closer, you see the grid of the pencil. But I think this metaphor, Rosalind Krauss mentioned about the rationality of homogeneous quality of Mies van der Rohe is not really rational. It's not only objective, but also subjective quality there. And then this Toyo Ito to Junya Ishigami's interpretation of interpret or extending this means of universe space of Mies van der Rohe is also attaching to this kind of article observing Mies' career. So one career of the universal space can be also verified. It depends on how you see it. And history of Mies van der Rohe is shaped in a big proportion through the unbuilt project, like this Peter Eisenman's article. And there are so much on Mies written, and then Mies van der Rohe's figure is not exist without any unbuilt project argument. It's very much proportion. And meanwhile, I was a little bit questioning about the historical situation of Mies van der Rohe through the unbuilt project. But somehow, which is missing, is this phenomenological aspect or perceptive aspect of Mies van der Rohe. His sketches often like this in a very eye-level perspective, in a phenomenal sense. And he's examining how the plan is, how the effect of the phenomenology is. And these are not shown often because he leaves the sketches only often plants and things, dry materials, and he doesn't really left these perspectives or phenomenological presentation. And all the historian and the critics are arguing his career unbuilt project without any sort of examining of this phenomenal space, so that we wanted to rescue this unread quality of Mies van der Rohe, still not read, maybe. And we have, meanwhile, a collection of more than 35 unbuilt projects hypothetically reconstructed. And I like to show maybe, I don't know how many. This is one, okay. This is a Friedrichstraße skyscraper. It's the most famous, actually, unbuilt project of Mies, 21, with a charcoal drawing. And but still, this group defined the plan without any construction, because Mies was not satisfied with his sketches on construction, so he couldn't really represent the construction system, although it's a skyscraper is. So we avoided structure itself. And then all the digitally did sections and isonometry, and then creating a model. But you see there is no construction, the columns or something, it's floating basically floors. And then also slightly one can see the reflection of the surface of the glass, which was my main focus of this project in terms of Mies. He has seen the glass quality not as a transparent but a reflection. That's why this plan is fragmented on the surface. So we like to also, through the model and through the perspective view, we wanted to examine what quality this building can have, which is not maybe discovered. And if your neighbor's building, it can look like this way. It's an overlapping of all the glass element also inside of the building. And the street view can be like this. And on the upper floor could be like this. Yeah. This is a kind of examination of the already known project, but especially this building is the sort of which kind of quality the glass has. The glass is one of the focused theme of the Mies career, actually. And then from this point, we wanted to examine. And then 2 years later, office building, concrete office building. It's very less material. It's only one perspective, basically, left. And then we don't know yet the other stuff. And we carefully examined this perspective. It doesn't look like exciting, but we patiently look at this. And Fritz Neumeier, one of the major historians of the Mies van der Rohe, mentioned about stepping upwards, stepping forward through the upwards, this perspective, if it's illusion or if it's really stepping forward towards the top. And we just researched through the perspective and also defined a hypothetical measurement of the structure. And also this plan, nobody knew it really. It was a former department house, and it's quite a huge number of length. And this was used to be, and Mies was proposing this site, this project of the concrete house. And we just drew it like pure information. And you see this section, I thought we decided to elevate this cantilever towards the top. Each floor is 40 centimeter coming forward. This is also hypothetic. And then examining through the eye height perspective. And this courtyard is not really known, but we wanted to present it. And if you go inside, also this wall is very high. It's exactly 2 meter height. And then underneath, it's shelves. It's funny thing is in an office building in the middle of Berlin, but you don't see the city urban landscape, but only the skies. Yeah, it's also the enclosure somehow, the feeling. And this is what we normally we find it strange, but some reason he continues this quality until the end of his career, actually. Building a model to concern. Yeah, and above this phase of the analysis, they go forward to the project, actually. It's in Lichtenberg in Berlin. This tower is, as I said, here Arno Brandhuber's office is sitting in the near to this site. This empty space for a long time, over 20 years, there's nothing happened. It's very difficult places. And they wanted to propose this urban void, so-called in the industrial area there. And because of the absence of use for many years, there are many natural vegetation is expanding. And also this area is now developing last 20 years with a culturally orientated area. And what we can do. And they are proposing basically very simple structure here, floating over the earth, and then it's like enclosed space, but it's open here and underneath, and then keep it as it is, the floor of the vegetation. It's basically a bridge building out of steel, and then it's floating. It's minimalized the touching point to the ground. And this structure within, there are many of differentiated public spaces which can be transformed later, but anyhow we defined the infrastructure like staircase, elevators, and water stuffs. And then at this moment they are proposing ateliers or even a living space, but it can be changed. As you can see, you know, the touching on the ground is minimalized so that you keep as possible this ground of the natural. But if you go inside, it's a kind of courtyard situation. So you have a feeling that you are isolated from the surroundings of this situation. Although partly you can see the bottom through. So this is more or less extension of the MIS project. I don't know if it's too far but anyhow, this shows the structure itself without any form, aesthetics of form, can be a possibility of designing things today. And then we go for last thing of the MIS analysis, Museum for a Small City. It's 4 years later after he moved to Chicago, museum for small city. It was an occasion organized by the Architecture Forum. It's a magazine. Was looking for a future model of city in a middle class, like 70,000 residents. And then they chose a city called Syracuse in New York. And they invited architects like Mies van der Rohe, but Charles Eames and Louis Kahn is also there. And his site of the museum is here, and then this is the site of Charles Eames, for instance. And it's his design. Typically, he created a podium, the base, separating from the earth. And on the base of the podium, he created this grid, rational grid. This is the first project, I suppose, appearing a rational grid in American time. But still, this order of fragmented walls are from Berliner era somehow. It's combined. And what is new in terms of glass is just simply covered this warm space out of glass. And this use of glass never happened, I suppose, before this project. And this in this concern, it's a transition from the Berliner era and the American period to show it, actually. And this is also the mixture of inside and outside. There is outside space, but you feel like inside, and then there is an inside space here, but you feel like outside. This dialectic of inverted term of inside and outside, public or private, is also the one terms of what Mies is strangely achieving. Oh. Again. So, and then also the three layers of glass. There is a layer of natural layer, like it is. Yeah, this scheme, we have only a very limited portion of information. So for us, we haven't discovered yet. Nobody did this kind of examining through the perceptive point of view. Yeah, and then finally, I showed project further in the master class, and under the title Free Territories 3.0, we are moving to Berlin-Brandenburg, the border. And more than 100 years ago, Howard presenting, this garden city diagram. It was the time when the industrialization and the beginning of capitalism became a little bit critics of alienation of the human being. So this idea behind is to recover the potential or the essence of humanity into the nature, at the same time maintaining certain urbanity. And this is also one of there are many references behind this project, but this I'd like to show it just one of them, of the references. And we are focusing on the threshold of Berlin-Brandenburg. And along the wall of the Berlin wall, at the same time, a threshold at the border of the Berlin is still not really defined. There are certain portion is defined, but many portions are not defined. And these are the territories where the urbanity and the rurality come together. There is a potential of it, and how we could treat this threshold. It's a little bit of futuristic or maybe utopian or theoretical dimension. But we tried to put a sort of hypothetical agenda on this on this situation. It doesn't have to be Berlin. It can be Paris or Moscow or any other big cities. It's the same situation. But of course, we are sitting in Germany. We take circumstance in Berlin. And then before we start a project, we also referencing not only the Howard, but also the dogma again. And they are also have several projects on this theme. And this is a project in Albania. They are proposing new infrastructure along the motorway, a distance of almost 700 meters, and creating superimposing new public spaces, infrastructure for the surroundings development. And these are the 5 elements, sometimes line, like bridge-like, sometimes courtyard structure, sometimes podium structure. And podium could offer a new public space, also overviewing the landscape, but at the same time partly used space underneath. And this bridge structure serves a new infrastructure in the public space inside, although it's not really defined. There's no, at this moment, windows or something, but it's a theoretical visionary project. So this was one of them. And this group from Russia was proposing again, a motorway. About the motorway, they're proposing sort of greenhouses along the motorway, and then creating also all the agriculture thing and all the surface as well. At the same time, energy stuffs are also integrated, so that this is a new huge space along the motorway, actually, and also concerning of transformation of motorization. That many research institutes are expecting that numbers of cars are reducing in the future, and the role of this motorway or car itself in the 20th century's symbol can be transformed in a near future. We have to see this in the next years. But anyways, after this analysis, observation of many kind, I showed only 2 or 3 references. But after that, we start drawing sketches or visions. And at the same time, this group also tracing the history of Berlin. And Berlin, of course, politically shaped through the Berliner Wall period. And the last 20 years, it's certainly any city like Berlin is expanding the density along the highway or railways. And this is a map of highways and railways network, but also the structure of the greenery or water is very, very important in the Berliner landscape, and also the agriculture scene. And we have to see this kind of non-placedness, like Mark Auger said, how this symbolically prepared typology of motorway or highway can be shifted. And it was the group of this concern. And then they asked AI about the motorway in the 2070. And one of the results is this picture. It's almost less cars on the highway, but still there's a flying element there. And then there is another image. There are many images, of course, if you give a prompt. And this image also result of 2070. And we have to wait until 70, but this is two result. And as a project, we go forward, and then this group, starting with a collage of this green, very much emphasized space, although there's half open, half cold spaces, but also warm space. And then they are focusing on the transitions space of the highway. And there are many certain categories along the border of Berlin. The highways have a particular typical role in every city has. And this is a typology of this highways junction. And then they take just over the border of Berlin. This black part is city of Berlin, and the north part is outside Brandenburg. And this situation, you can see any cities basically, and how to deal with this cities situation. And as always, this infrastructure divide into four basic categories of the territories, and then they are not really connected. And this black marked space at itself is like 58,000 square meter, and it's a huge space only on this portion of the junction space. And this is the existing situation in an isometric way. And then the idea is very simple, basically. Proposing one new layer above the motorway and create a new space. Motorway can go underneath the level of 0, and then can stay as a level 0. But anyhow, the new layer can go over the existing layer. And first of all, they put corridor, like connecting all the divided territories around the junction. And on the surface, it's a very wide, actually, surface, like we seen 58,000 square meter, covered basically with a very ecological surface. And then above this, it's a certain building typology, like green space, green houses, or function with the open public or partly private spaces. And this propose is the children's playground, ateliers, biological market, and co-working space and things like this. And they're also creating a new layer on the surrounding neighbors, but also providing a new residence. This is a site plan. So it's not a division anymore, but it's connecting all the surfaces. And then Berlin itself has a huge demands on apartment, and this is one proposal to add a layer of residency. And also there are many people in Berlin or many other big cities are looking for sort of a sustainable way of life. And they don't want to go to the typical built dream houses outside of Berlin. They are not fascinated of this 20th century model of houses, and they are looking for some alternative way of collective way of living, also the sustainable building method. but the living quality. And this can be also alternative to such a category of people who are much concerned on the new type of living format. And this surface can also be very ecological oriented, and greenhouse as well as recreation space. So that may be the last one at the end. Yeah, there are many master theses, but I have to, because of the time, I have to choose one of them. And in this context, I chose extension of this kind of way of proposing things. And this is a site just outside of Münster core city. And this site is remaining many years empty, although they are looking for new owners. And it used to be a agriculture-oriented private use. And as you see here, there are many existing buildings. And then the proposer is restoring by renovating through the red lined renovation, but also superimposing the new structure above the existing structure. And there are many glass houses, greenhouses are existing, still able to keep maintaining, so that they're partly superimposing new structure on the greenhouses. At the end, the proposal goes to the sort of new collective form of sustainable life, half also public, and then a huge amount of density of people can be used in a collective way. Also, the very simple, simplified format of building typology, and they're emphasizing these layers of green spaces, partly, of course, also the the stuff that you can eat. You can also touch on the earth. This kind of stuff in a collective way. And integrated old greenhouses, also maintaining this structure, but superimposing new simple structure, so that you sometimes if you feel outside, but you are inside, but you are outside, but you are inside. I mean, this transformation dialogue can happen. Yeah. So this is it's very, for me, not so easy to select all the project actually, how to line up things. It can be differently, completely different result of the master thesis, but this is one of them. Yeah. So that was the end. Thank you very much for your patience and listening. Thank you.